welcome you on the show 360 Sport on Trust TV. Adeni G. Shafet. I'm taking you around the world of sport as you look at activities trending there. Well, as it is, we know that UEFA Champions League yesterday night was a huge one between Real and Atletico, and also not forget the other teams that actually participated. But before we talk about UEFA Champions League, we look at our first story that has to do with Super Eagles. They'll be playing against Rwanda and Zimbabwe in the 2026 World Cup qualifier that will be coming up. And as it is right now, we just have to look at the first story. 2026 World Cup, Chelle lists Provisional Super Eagles for Rwanda, Zimbabwe. For Nigerian Provisional list for 39 players. Actually invited 39 players for the competition, that particular game against Rwanda and also against Zimbabwe. As it is, the coach, Chelle, has been able to invite 39 players. We have new ones. We also have those who have been playing with Super Eagles, and we'll be looking at this story. But before we actually look at the list of those players, we'll be unveiling our guest in the studio. Friday Joshua is here. Good to have you, Friday Joshua.
Yeah, good morning, Adeni. Thanks for having me.
Okay, good one. We run through this together as we look at activity in the world of sports. Now, right now, for the fact that Chelle, Eric Seko, the coach of Super Eagles, invites us 9 player provisional list anyway. We look at the list and also look at the prospect of that team. Let's have it quickly. From goalkeeper department, we have Stanley Wabali of Chipas United, South Africa, Maduka Okoye, Udinese FC of Italy, Amaso Basoge. You have, he plays for Singida Blacks of Tanzania, Adelea Adebayo, Inosis Paralimni of Cyprus, and you have Kyle De Bankole of Remo Stars. These are the 5 goalkeepers that he has actually invited. So later we'll come back to each department, and then Joshua will do justice to that. Defenders, William Ekong, he plays Al Khulud FC of Saudi Arabia, Bright Osayi Samuel, Fenerbahce Turkey, Bruno Yemichi Olympiacos, Grace Gabriel Osho of Zé France, Calvin Bassey, of course, Fulham, England, Olaoluwa Aina, Nottingham Forest, England, Seydou Sanusi of FC Porto of Portugal. You have Igor Ogbu, Slavia Prague of Czech Republic, Jordan Torunariga, Ghent, Belgium, and you have Ifeanyi Onyebuchi of Rangers International, another home-based player there. Midfielder, Wilfred Ndidi, Leicester City, Rafael Oyedika, Club Brugge of Belgium, Al-Hassan Yusuf Abdullahi, New England Revolution, USA, Fisao Dele Bashiru, Lazio of Italy, Franco Yenka, Augsburg, Germany, Alex Iwobi, Fulham, Joseph Ayodele Aribo, Southampton. You have Anthony Dennis, Godstepe, SK of Turkey, Chris Santos Uche, Getafe from Spain, Papadane Mustafa of Niger Tornadoes, making the 3rd home-based player to make it. And we look at the forwards there, Samuel Chukwueze of AC Milan, Victor Osimhen, Galatasaray of Turkey, Ademola Lookman. You have from Atalanta, Kelechi Iheanacho, Middlesbrough. We have Victor Boniface, Bayer Leverkusen, Simon Moses, FC Nantes, Sadiq Umar, Valencia, Spain, Nathan Taylor, also Bayer Leverkusen, Cyril Dessa of Glasgow Rangers is back to the team. Tolu Arokodare of Genk, that's Belgium, Chiderai Juke, Sevilla, and you have Paul Onuachu of Southampton, Ahmed Musa, Kano Pilar, the captain or the governor is back, Jerome Arco Adams of Sevilla FC, Spain. Still talking about this team quickly before we come back to it. Let's look at first-timers and returnees. Then we look at it department by department. First-timers and returnees. First-timer call-up for defenders. We have Igor Ogbu and Ifeanyi Onyebuchi. Midfielders, Anthony Dennis, Chris Santos Uche, Papa Daniel Mustafa, and Tolu Arokodare and Jerome Adams. Not forgetting the returnees rather. We have Remo Stars goalkeeper Kyle De Bankole, Jordan Torunariga, Joseph Ayodele Aribo, Cyril Dessa, and Nathan Taylor. They are all back to the team for the 39-man squad that have been released by coach Eric Chelle before it will be cut down to 29. Well, let's start with this Friday. You're looking at this. First time out, we have Igor Ogbu, Uche, Mustafa, Tolu Arokodare, Anthony Dennis, and Jerome Arco.
Yes, looking at the first-timers on the list, it's actually a good one for the Super Eagles of Nigeria. And if you look at the whole list, that list is very rich, robust, and of course, if well utilized, they can actually defeat any team in the world. But looking at the fact that we are sitting somewhere very close to the bottom of the World Cup qualifiers, now you need all the possible legs you have. So at the end of the day, it's the selection that will bring out the best in these players. So with this, you get to know that, okay, yeah, you're coming into the camp to fight for your shirt, because they are new guys are coming to the team. There are some returnees as well and all of that. So what it means is that even the regular starters may not even get a space in the team if they don't put all their effort in it.
Okay, now talking about that's the first time as the returnees to some of them are trying to see how they can do it. But right now, let's go back to that list and take it department by department. So let's start with the goalkeeper. Let's roll that list again, starting from the goalkeeper department. We have 5 of them here. Okay, let's just spend it here. The 5 goalkeepers. Stanley Wabale, of course, number 1 is there. No one seems to be. Although there's a particular player in Germany, Atubolu, thereabout, who is already knocking at the door. Though he's not invited, but watch out. He has really done well with his team, being able to save a lot of penalty and even scoring. So Stanley Wabale to watch out for Atubolu. He's still in Germany, although not been invited yet. Maduka Okoye of Udinese, Amos Obasuge, Adeleye Adebayo, and Kayode Bankole. These are 5 goalkeepers. It will be pulled down to 3. So from you now, let's assume you are Eric Chelle. So who are you staying with?
Of course, you get to see Stanley Wabale at the end of the day. He's doing very well with Chippa United, and of course, coming from the last Africa Cup of Nations, you don't want to throw such a goalkeeper away. Of course, we'll definitely get Maduka Okoye back into the team, and then maybe Amos Obasagi, who was very instrumental with Bendel Insurance last season before his move to Tanzania. But I like the fact that we have Remo Stars, Kayode, who is also in the mix of it. Now they are topping the table, and that may just be the surprise inclusion in the 3-man final list for me.
Okay, that'll be okay. As it says, for your own, you are picking Wabale, Okoye
and Amos
Obasoge. Well, Bankole and Adeleye Adeyinka. Okay, those 2. Well, we wait to see. Maybe Eric will actually listen to you. Although what matters most is by the time they come for this match, when they arrive, they will actually have at least 2-3 days for training, at least to be able to ascertain who is really standing well among them, who is fit enough, who is really good enough to be able to hold it. Because I would love competition in this team.
Yes, that's the more reason why they invite more than the needed number. So at the end of the day, it does not boil down to what you've done for your club. It is what you're able to put in training ahead of the crucial match. So you may be 100% for your club, and during the few days of training, you are not meeting up to expectation, then you may not get the final call-up for that game. So the competition is there, and I hope at the end of the day, we don't see what we usually see in recent times in the Super Eagles, where they invite players based on man no man and all of that, because this is my player. You know, the last coach, Finidi George, the last local coach we had, actually complained about some super agents in the NFF dictating what players to use, what players to invite for Super Eagles games. So I hope we don't get to see that at this juncture, because we are really sitting on a very tight rope at the moment, and we must qualify to the World Cup. And I think with 4 games remaining to 6 games rather remaining to the end of the qualifiers for the World Cup, mathematically we can still qualify, but that will be depending on what we do with the remaining 6 games.
Seriously, you look at the tight rope you mentioned. In fact, it's not even tighter, because looking at our group, we were standing 5th on the log. Can you imagine Rwanda, Benin Republic, South Africa all ahead of us? And what are we going to do now? It's going to be very tough for us to qualify.
Very tough. Out of those 6 games, we'll be playing 3 at home, and those 3 would not be easy for us, because the first 4 games, what did we do with it? We played some at home. We even lost some of those games at home. Some games that we were supposed to win at home, we drew them. So going away to get maximum points from those guys is almost very impossible. But nothing is actually impossible in the game of football. We can actually get all the 3 points we want if we put our head in the game and determine that we want to qualify for the World Cup.
Let me raise what someone said while we were coming to the studio, that okay, is it not okay? The same set of Eagles, maybe few that have been added now and returnees. Majority of these players prosecuted those games that we are now struggling. Majority of them prosecuted it. And what did they do? They are Super Eagles, right? They didn't take it serious. They were lackadaisical about those games, and that's why we find ourselves where we are today. If they had played the way they play AFCON qualifiers, the way they play AFCON qualifiers, and they play the same way for this World Cup qualifier, we will not be struggling. But we're supposed to be at the top of this group. In fact, when they did the draw, everybody was like, Nigeria is going to be number 1. But can you imagine what is happening? Now, sorry to cut you, you look at the same set of players now trying to show seriousness when they are supposed to have made it, when the sun was really shining so bright. It's going to be very tough. It's not as if we cannot achieve it, but I still don't know how Rwanda, Benin Republic, and other teams ahead of us will sit down and let us come and beat them easily. That is why it's tougher.
You know, when you are up there, you tend sometimes some people tend to be like
they too want to go to the World Cup.
They too want to go to the World Cup. And of course, when you talk about African football, the Super Eagles are a force to reckon with. I think they got too comfortable in that qualifier, looking at the fact that they were playing the likes of Zimbabwe, Rwanda, and
they underrated.
They underrated all of these things, not knowing that everybody is going back home to build their football. Everybody wants to shine like the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Everybody wants to shine like the Teranga Lions of Senegal. So I think commitment to the game is what matters most. And one of our former internationals actually made mention of that in a short clip while he was talking about the current crop of players that we have. Now, when I see the list of the Super Eagles of Nigeria, very robust, very rich, like I said earlier, but it reminds me of the Three Lions of England in the days of Steven Gerrard, Frank Lampard. They had all the stars all over, but they couldn't achieve anything with any of those stars that they have at that time. But look at the time of when Sarugagit came and brought some younger players who were hungry to actually get something for themselves when it comes to the world stage football, and they actually did very well for themselves, not for the name England, but for the caliber of those players. They did very well. They got to the semi-final of the World Cup at some point, and you know that's what you get when you put in a lot of commitment, a lot of hard work, trying to get results for yourself. So if our Super Eagles can forget all the past glories, forget what they've done for their club, and okay, this is a new assignment and the result must be positive, then we can make it happen.
We just hope that Super Eagles will do this, because Friday Joshua has been talking with us as a sport journalist. He's talking from that view. But for this particular game, it's going to be a tough one. Very, very tough. A tighter rope, if I can use that word. Well, at least as it is, the coach has released the list, and we are looking at it, reviewing the possibility of who will make it out of the 39 list provisionalists that have been cut out by Chelle, where they will drop some, remaining 23. Well, as it is, let's go to the defenders. Going back to that list where we look at who and who. Well, these are the defenders. No, we know that Shemia Jai is still injured out there. William Ekong, Bright Osayi Samuel, Bruno, you have Gabriel Osho, you have that's Calvin Bassi, Oluwaina, Zaidu Sanusi is back, Igor Ogbu, well, that's a new player, Jordan Turunariga, and you have Ifeanyi Onyebuchi from Rangers International of Nigeria Premier Football League. I'm proud to say that one.
Particularly, I'm interested in what will happen to the home-based players that have been invited.
Only three.
Only three, yeah, at the end of the day, which is not a fair number for
at all, not fair at all.
MPFL players. But let's see what happens to them. And I would like to tip at the end of the day that Ifeanyi Onyebuchi makes the final squad for these two-legged qualifiers. And of course, if you look at the list, there are some familiar names. You have Bright Osasui of Fenerbahce, Bruno Onyemachi. Over time, this guy have not been invited. And for me, I keep asking the question, why is this guy? Because he's actually good, doing very well for Olympiacos and all the rest. Of course, you expect that the super captain William Troost Ekong will make the list at the end of the day, although he's playing somewhere in Saudi Arabia, of which a lot of football fans in Nigeria feels that if you are not in the top 5 European league, then you shouldn't be in the Super Eagles. But of course, he's still doing his own well in Saudi Arabia at the end of the day. But looking at the rest of the list, you get to see that Olaino is actually available for Nottingham Forest.
Olaino stands out there.
Yes,
fantastic defender.
Very well, you know, and over time he's actually proven himself with the Super Eagles of Nigeria. So it's going to be a really tough competition for all of these players at the end of the day.
Zaidu
Sanusi, who is making a return. At some point he was left out for several games. Now coming back, I think when they get to see some of this competition, you know, bringing in new players, reinviting old legs, I think the regular ones will feel that, okay, now we just have to fight for our shirt. Now, I want to go back to 2013 under Stephen Keshi. What made Stephen Keshi successful was that he made a decision and he stood by it, actually paid out for him. That means everybody must fight for their shirt. He even went as far as opening the Super Eagles camp with home-based players and sent out invitation to the foreign-based players. You can come, but there are players waiting for you here. That means you are coming to fight for a shirt. And I think with this kind of list, if everybody is given a fair playing ground, I think everybody will come up with their A game. And at the end of the day, the list that we will get finally will be enough to get the work done.
Well, we're talking about the defenders right now. Looking at this bit by bit there, let's go to the middle of the park. We know that this is where the NG room of Super Eagles actually lies. Well, let's look at it for the midfielders. Indeed, of course, the Marshall at the middle of the park there. Rafael Onyedika, Club Brugge, well, Champions League experiences there. Yusuf Alassane, since he moved to USA, is also part of it. Fisayo Bashiru doing well with Lazio. Onyeka, the one they call the Tank, with Augsburg of Germany. Alex Iwobi, of course. Aribo is back. Anthony Dennis used to play for HB Academy of Abuja. Now he has moved to Gustepe of Turkey. Made that cut. Uche Chris Santos, fantastic with Getafe in Spain. And you have Papadane Mustafa, Niger Tornadoes. I'm happy to actually see another one here. Even though there are not much, only three of them. Maybe. Of them. Okay, go ahead.
Interestingly, most of the guys in the midfield are familiar players who have actually contributed one or two for the Super Eagles of Nigeria. But you look at where some of these players actually are at the moment. You look at Wilfred Ndidi, who is playing in the English Championship at the moment. You look at
Premier League, rather.
Oh, sorry, Premier League, I beg your pardon. You look at Al-Hassan Yusuf and all of these players. Of course, I'm particularly interested in Fisayo Bashiru of Lazio, who have been invited, and I hope he makes the list at the end of the day. Frank Onyeka, actually a good leg for the Super Eagles of Nigeria as well. And Alexi Iwobi, there's been some kind of controversial comment about Iwobi when he comes to play for the Super Eagles of Nigeria, you know, and that is owing to the fact that he is the nephew to JJ, one of Nigeria's great.
But it's not JJ. So
that is the problem. He's
be.
not JJ.
Iwobi is not JJ. They are different.
So he's not JJ. Don't expect him to play like JJ. He is Alex Iwobi. So just allow him enjoy his game. Not forgetting that he's been very instrumental in most of our wins. Just that you may not see him. If you don't read the game very well, you may not see him.
People just want to attach that sentiment.
Yes, they want to see him do those snake bite leg overs that JJ does.
To bust your bubble, even JJ's son, let's assume Okocha's son is playing today. He can't be Okocha.
Even Sunday Lisa's son is playing today. He's not Sunday Lisa.
Amokachi's boys are playing. They are not Amokachi.
As football fans, yes, we know the emotion attached to when you don't get the desired result. It is the same all over the world. But when you tend to cut your players with the sharpest of knives, then you're not helping them. So I think they should just allow Iwobi express himself with the Super Eagles of Nigeria. He's been getting results. One bad result should not be enough to clean the good slate he had in the past years. So about looking at Papadane Mustafa with Niger Tornadoes, they didn't start well this season when you talk about Niger Tornadoes, but at least they are sitting somewhere comfortable in the NPFL at the moment. And Daniel Mustafa has been instrumental for Niger Tornadoes. And also, I'm interested in Jose Ayodele Aribo, who is also returning back to the squad. So let's see how these guys will be able to synergize and get this maximum result. I want to believe that the whole 39 of them understand the assignments in front of them. So I want to also believe that everybody will be coming with their A game, trying to make the squad not for their own personal gain, but for the Nigeria project.
Now, talking about the midfield there, Aribo is back, although still on provisional list. Anthony Dennis is a new invitee. Well, hopefully, maybe he will debut on that game. And you have Chris Santos Uche, that particular player. These two players, they are new. We have Dennis and Uche playing for Getafe and Gustepe. And both of them have been invited for this game, and hopefully they are able to. I just hope that they can at least, let's see how they can rescue Shed. You know, Super Eagles, the team is becoming so kind of relaxed that they are too comfortable. They are okay. I don't know. I always kind of imagine like we will make them now. Don't worry, they go pick us. They don't pick us. Who they want pick? You know, that kind of normal Nigerian pigeon balance or mentality. But seriously, just like you mentioned that Keshi opened it up, let the best player be picked. If you like be playing fire for your club, if you come to training, when you come for the camp and you are not doing well, and they notice that you are playing one big manism football, let me borrow that one, you are out. If that is done here, you will see these guys sit tight. Because when this World Cup qualifier started, if they have done this maybe second match, all of them will have been serious with it.
That's why I like this Al-Hassan Yusuf Abdullahi. He broke into the team. when no one expected. And
since then,
after that first game,
he held on to it.
He held on to it. He's been appearing, and now he's getting regular call-up. You see, when you come into this fold, of course, the assignment may be too big. The caliber of players you'll be seeing may be intimidating.
Yeah, sure.
But, of course,
you don't get size.
Exactly. Even when you put your leg, you discover that there are a lot of spaces for you to cover. But at the end of the day, just be yourself. Try to play your game. You've been playing this game before you got the call-up. That means there was something the coach
extraordinary
and the technical committee saw in you to be able to invite you in the first place. So you should just forget all the boisterous wind around you and just play your game and try to get positive results for the team. So at the end of the day, just come in, wrestle your shirt, see every player like your teammates you left in your club side, and you just get into the team.
That was how Fisao Dele-Bashiru also broke in, at least when he came. A lot of people were like, who's this? Who's Fisao Dele-Bashiru? Okay, we've been watching him. Let's see what he can offer. But today, he's also becoming a player to be reckoned with. Not forgetting Onyeka Frank. I remember when he started. Now Onyeka is part of the tank. In fact, the tank of Super Eagles defensive midfield there. And well, as it is, we've been at least reviewing this list and looking at who can make it and who cannot make it. Although the coach actually have the final say. And as it is, it's getting more interesting. Let's throw it up. Let's scroll up there. Let's have forwards. We have a lot of them here. We always have a lot of forwards. This is where the coach will be confused. Who is going to play or not? Chukwueze, Osimhen, Lookman, of course, African Player of the Year, Iheanacho, Boniface, who we know to some extent. They have tagged that, okay, he does well with Bayern Leverkusen. He comes here, he doesn't score. What's the problem? So Simon Moses is doing well with Nantes. Sadiq Umar is back. Valencia. Nathan Teller, of course, is being superlative for Bayern Leverkusen. Cyril Dessa, you check this particular player, fantastic for Glasgow Rangers. He's been doing so well with Rangers there, and they are really doing so well. Tolu Arokodare, yes, maybe I should use the word he's not a debutant, yes, he's an invitee. So Tolu Arokodare is here, and he has been scoring a lot of goals for Genk of Belgium. Chidera Ejuke is also back. You have it with Sevilla, even though he was joined there with Kelechi Iheanacho, but things had to go south, and then he has to move to Middlesbrough. Onuachu, sometimes things are not really doing well, but Onuachu, when you watch his game, you wonder, okay, this guy is doing so well, but his team are really wallowing down the bottom of the Premier League. Ahmed Musa, the governor, is back. And I'm sure the reason why they brought Ahmed Musa, because of the crucial moment they find themselves looking at this fixation now. Ahmed Musa needs to come in to give them that morale booster. He has been there, he has played at the World Cup, he has seen it all, playing against Messi and all the experience. To tell these guys, you can do it. So I know the reason. I'm sure his inspiration alone in that team is needed. That Ahmed Musa, please come over. Let's find out how you can inspire these guys. Guys, we can do this. Let's not relax. And the last one is Jerome Akor Adams, who also moved to Sevilla in Spain. He has also been given the invitation as the first timer of this team. So, Joshua, the forwards.
Well, let me start with the invitation of Captain Ahmed Musa to the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Like you mentioned, we need someone who is a true leader, who will be able to talk to any caliber of player in this team. And I recall when we began to have some of those bad results, and Ahmed Musa made mention of something, that the current crop of Super Eagles players we have is players who grew up abroad.
Majority.
Their families are in abroad, so if they come to Nigeria, they lose the game for Nigeria, there's nothing at stake. But he compared it to the time when he started, that he knew that when they lose a game,
to go home is a big problem.
To go home is a big problem. For his brother to walk the streets of Kano, they will just look at him.
No, Ahmed Musa brother.
And then lose match with that, you know. So, but when you win, there is this pride, and I think that is what they want to instill in the team. And over time, that's why I've always clamored for a fair blend of home-based and foreign-based players. Sometimes when these foreign-based players feel as if they have arrived, we have home-based players who are always hungry to get results, always hungry for glory. You understand? And we've not had any super player from the Super Eagles that was groomed abroad. Check the list. They all started from here in Nigeria in the NPFL. And I think that is one of the driving force. When you start from home, you want to explore the world, and the only way to explore the world is to get results at the end of the day. So Ahmed Musa is back into the team. He's not going to be running the length and breadth of the team for 90 minutes. He's here to motivate the players, give them the right lecture, the right motivation when things are not going well. Tell them to stand up tall and execute these games. And if you look at the attacking force, look at the list. I like the fact that we have Boniface's teammate in that
Nathan Teller,
right? And of course, when you begin to have some of this familiarity, even right from the club side, you know, they already know how they play this game. If at the end of the day they both make the team, you discover that there's a kind of synergy between both sides. But if you look at this our attacking lineup, you discover that this lineup can actually beat any team in the world. But if you ask me, I don't envy Chelle at the moment. You know, when you have a whole lot of players to choose from,
what majority are strikers?
You are most likely going to get confused. But
majority are even strikers.
Are even strikers. So you see, it's very difficult for him to pick. But I just hope the technical committee of the NFF will be able to advise him accordingly. Of course, as a coach, he can't do it on his own. Here and there, he will get little advice from the technical committee. Okay, don't you think you should take this on? Don't you think you should take this on? But I think he has a list of his own. But an advice from the NFF technical committee will also do him well.
Okay, we've been talking about the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Right now, being invited by Coach Chelle, the one they call Seiko. Well, as it is, a tough one it is, but they can actually triumph against Rwanda and also Zimbabwe. We say we can defeat them away and also win Zimbabwe at home in Uyo. It is very possible, and we're looking at the prospects of that team being able to do well against Rwanda and Zimbabwe. Well, even though it's tough, it is achievable. All they need to do, after all, they have the government in their midst who actually inspire them to victory. Ahmed Musa is back, and he's going to tell them all it takes for them to win. And we hope that Eagles will fly high by the time they meet Rwanda and also meet the Zimbabweans by the time they meet in those games. Well, good one there. Looking at those lists that have been brought in by Coach Chelle. Now, talking about football, let's cross over. At least enough of Super Eagles. Let's talk about others. So we have Flamingos, Nigeria under 17 girls who right now will be playing against Botswana of South Africa in their game that will be coming up. And right now, they jet out today. Flamingos head to South Africa on Wednesday. So, as it is, we have 19 of them who are actually jetting out. They want to see how they can do well against Botswana. Botswana, they are fantastic. They won their last game for 21-2. So, you have to be very careful. We have to be very wary playing against them. But Coach Oluwokere knows what is at stake, that these South Africans are really closing the gap against us. Let's look at the 19 Flamingos. For South Africa, Christiana Uzoma, Oyinyechi Opara, Hannah Ibrahim, Jumaya Adebayo, Temilade Fafore, Shaviro Istifanos. You have Taiwo Adegoke, Shakira Al-Moshood, Moinat Rotimi, Azizat Oduton. You have Philomena Ochaya, Aishat Anima Shaun, Elizabeth Boniface, Queen Joseph, Olamide Olarewaju, Chizom Nwachuku. You have Harmony Chidi, Favor Ihiagram, and you have Christiana Sunday. These are the 19 players of Flamingos against Botswana of South Africa. Quickly.
Yes, for the under-17 girls, they are actually a good team if you ask me, and this is not new to them. They should not be carried away with the results of the Botswana ladies in their last game. Of course, we are a force to reckon with, and Coach Oluwokere Bankole has always been with these girls for some time now, and you know, consistency is actually one of the key to success. We saw what they did at India in 2022, and of course, in subsequent competitions. So for Coach Bankole Oluwokere, he knows the assignment. The girls as well, they know what is at stake, and some of these girls are still in the team since 2022. When you talk about Taiwo Afolabi Adegoke, she's still in the team. Talk about Harmony Chidi and a handful of them. So they understand what is at stake, and for me, qualification is not a problem. They always get that result they need when it matters most. But when they get to the competition proper, laying their hand on the first prize is where we are still lagging.
Well, seriously, it's going to be tough because I know that South Africa too, they need this, and they're already seeing us as their biggest rival in Africa. So that's why the match will be very tough for the Flamingos. In fact, I don't know what I will say about this because I know it's going to be very, very, very tough for them. Hopefully, they come back home with win. Talking about Flamingos, for what they've done so far, they've been able to mold their own when they need it, and now they'll be facing South Africa, and we just saw that they would do well on Saturday. before they play the second leg. Wishing them the best there. It's not an easy ride, but we know that Flamingos are battle ready as they file out for the Morocco 2025 qualifier. That's the World Cup for under 17 women. Our ladies, just like the way our men, although their own is not a tightrope like compared to Super Eagles, but at least they are having a tightrope against South Africa, and that's where it's very tough. Okay, enough of our ladies. At least we celebrated them. Let's cross over and talk about our league. Now, a man that has seen it all, he has played in Sweden, he's even having about 2 daughters who are into football, Peter EJ. Peter EJ is talking about MPFL. Let's look at that story. MPFL needs better branding, corporate sponsorship, and foreign players, according to Peter EJ. And truly, if you watch most of the games, we know that TV-friendly games can actually attract the corporate sponsorship, can attract foreign players, because by the time you watch the games on TV and you're like, wow, this is our league. And at times you wonder how come some teams cannot just go out there, get a good camera for your media person so that they can shoot a good video clip and then fix your pitch or pitches across so that when it looks very green and fine, people can easily watch and enjoy it. They need to fix us this thing to brand it. That's what we're talking about. For corporate sponsors to come, when they want to see what they want to put their money on. Okay, you look at the pitch that's looking like where where they are digging sand out.
Yeah, Peter EJ is actually right for the MPFL. You know, it is long overdue that we do some rebranding and then get a corporate sponsorship and all of that. But of course, investors will not want to put their money where there will be no return on investment. Now, when you talk about some of these facilities, I think we are being carried away by having stadiums instead of the best of pitches. You watch some of these South African countries, their league games, you just got that it is just the pitch alone. And you may find out that fans are even standing to watch, so long as the pitch is good and the players have 100% assurance on the pitch. Now, even some of the pitch we used to execute our international games for the Super Eagles, even the Super Eagles players complain about these pitches. So if we do all of this rebranding, make our pitches good, let players know that, okay, whatever game we are playing on this pitch is okay.
Standard.
This pitch is standard, because that is the primary facility when it comes to football. That is it. If you have the best of stadium, but the pitch is not okay, at the end of the day, at least the stadium will not be utilized.
They won't play.
For instance, the
Moshood
National Stadium, beautiful edifice, an edifice that can compete with any stadium in the world, but the pitch is nothing to write home about, and that's why the Super Eagles of Nigeria are not playing right here in Abuja. So when we invest in some of these things, get the best of pitches, let your game be smooth and all of that, then you come to officiating, then the issue of win at all cost syndrome, let it be relegated to the background. Then you get to see sponsors putting their money in the MPFL. When if you want to attract foreign players, at some point we saw a few clubs in the past. I think FC Fayuba, who signed about 3 Brazilian players as at then. We have some African nationals playing in the MPFL at the moment. But I believe when he's talking about foreign players, he's talking about players maybe even from Europe, from Asia. And
yes, coming over to play.
It is long overdue. Nigeria is one of the biggest exports for footballers.
After Brazil.
After Brazil. So why can't we build our league in such a manner that even other nationals from other continents of the world will be coming to play in Nigeria? Now, because of the poor state of our league, when you talk about welfare, talk about facilities and all of that, that is why you see somebody will leave a team like Shooting Stars, a team like Rangers International, and will be going to somewhere in Tanzania to play football.
Benin Republic, Asbo, or going to Sudan.
You see, once the welfare is not there, the facilities is not okay. You see, everybody wants to leave. Everybody wants to leave. If you interview 10 players in the MPFL, 8
tell you they want
looking
to
for breakthrough, even at the age of 35, they are still
imagine?
looking for breakthrough. So when all of these things are put in place, how many South Africans do you see playing abroad? That's because everything it takes to succeed as a footballer is in South Africa. When you talk about remuneration, talk about facility, anything, talk about fans coming out to support the team, all these things are there. That's why when you watch the South African League, you want to compare and contrast. The Nigeria League actually began before this South African League. They've rejigged and made it so impressive that anybody wants to put their money in the South African League. We can actually do the same, and I 100% agree with Peter EJ on this one.
Well, while we are agreeing with Peter EJ that MPFL really need rebranding, at least for corporate sponsors to come in, We really need to do that. If we are to do it, just like Friday Joshua opined there, that we need to fix these pitches first, fix those pitches where the players can play well. Facilities needs to be of high standard. Aside that, welfare of those athletes, those footballers, needs to be reckoned with. Let them have that opportunity to be at least of belonging, that they are earning good money. And let's not forget the fact that corporate sponsor will come and everything goes well with our league. And before you know it, get stronger and go back to the way it used to be in the 80s and 90s, where MPFL was really a toast in Africa. Well, aside that, let's talk about generation of player. According to Victor Ikweba, former African Player of the Year, who right now is talking, looking at that story we're looking at right now, by saying Nigerian current generation of players lack commitment. And I wouldn't blame Ikweba for saying this. And truly, if you look at Super Eagles, according to him, the current set of players, everybody is actually playing for money. Then, if you are not good enough, you don't even make the list, let alone that you want to feature. So, whoever is giving you play football then because you know how to play football. But now, every player, rather every parent or guardian wants their child to play because they are looking at the money. And truly, if you compare, according to him, the current Super Eagles, majority, 80% of them will not make Eagles court as at 80s and 90s if they are to put them side by side. Maybe one or two, and those one or two will be on the bench. Because you cannot tell me that when the likes of late Rashidi Yekini, Amokachi, Siasia, Mune Kefinidi were playing, Osimhen will bench any of them? Can he bench any of them?
Impossible.
Good. But, and Osimhen is our best player right now. So, let's be sincere. Osimhen, Ademola, Lookman, can they bench that time compared to now?
But let's be fair to the current crop of the Super Eagles players. You know, football has really changed. Back then, you have to be really strong
and the commitment. That's what he's talking about.
Yes, no.
Now he's talking about the World. He's speaking it from this World Cup fix that we find ourselves now, and we're now becoming mathematicians. All of us are trying to see if we win this, we can win this, we can draw this. He's saying, okay, then by now, Eagles will have dealt with all the teams.
I'm still driving at commitment. You have to be really strong. You have to take your training seriously. You have to build stamina. You have to build that strength. If by the time you join the team, your strength is at 50%, you have to...
Joshua, look at these guys. Just take a look at their faces.
See,
their faces alone. Their faces alone can scare you.
That's what I'm saying. Their faces alone shows strength. Their faces alone shows tenacity. Their faces alone shows courage. Their faces alone shows hungry for success. But we don't have that these days. Not just the Super Eagles of Nigeria. So let's not give the dog a bad name because we want to kill it. It is all over the world. If you go to club level, even in Europe, compare the players we have now to the players they had in the 80s, in the 90s, even late 90s. You saw that flair for football is no longer there. Everybody is trying to play a beautiful game. They don't want to be involved too much to avoid injury. At the end of the day, the focus is now on money, not just with the players. It starts with the administrators.
Of course, everybody wants to
they want to build new leagues at the detriment of the players, so long as money is coming in.
And that's why the problem with all the leagues they are trying to form is not working.
The focus now is on the business side of football. You just want to get these players firing from all cylinders, and you sell them
their health.
For a huge sum of money. So that's why these players are also out there to make money. Back in the days, it is playing for glory, not for money. How many trophies have you won? How many goals can you score? And all of that. But now you just see a 17-year-old, a 25-year-old, a 27-year-old. Saudi Arabia is coming with
£200 million.
And the player wants to leave football glory for money. And you wouldn't blame them. That is what the situation is at the moment. But now let's talk about commitment to the game. Now, if you are to wear the green, white, green jersey, like I said earlier, it is not all about you. It's about, okay, I'm in this position at the moment for my country. What can I do for my country? What result can I get for my country? But it's unfortunately, some of them see this as a means to get a bigger contract. By the time you play for your national team on the international stage, you get more offer.
I'm sorry to take you back. Look at the face of our Eagles. We're just catching fun in the studio anyway. But look at the faces of the current Eagles now.
Okay, now just take a look at the guy in jersey number 24. That should be Umar Sadiq.
Yes.
Just look at the way he's standing as if he's just there for pageantry. So you see, when there's this zeal, you could see all seriousness in trying to get the result. If result is not going your way, you see the impression on the players. Now, I can only point maybe 2 players in the Super Eagles that if result is not going their way, you see it in their expression. Number one of them is Victor Osimhen. Then from this list, I'll say Ahmed Musa. If Ahmed Musa is not getting the result, you see him running everywhere, pillar to post. Sometimes he runs with the ball outside the pitch. That is zeal. You get the point. But not a situation whereby you are losing a game. This game is very important to you. Like we saw in the AFCON finals in Côte d'Ivoire, you are losing this game. You cannot come all out, do everything to grind out this win. It doesn't speak well of the Super Eagles of Nigeria.
Now, I want to ask a question. I noticed that even though it has been denied, Leon Balogun, that guy has been doing so well with same Rangers that they invited Redesa. And sometimes back he came out that say, okay, Leon Balogun, he had issue because he was fighting for his team and all that, and then blacklisted, and then NFL said nobody blacklisted him. But look at what is that. He's doing so well with the Rangers.
Now you want me to go to that direction. Let's go to the direction. Is it not true? It is. Check the Super Eagles. You score that, not even the Super Eagles, the NFF and their players. You score that any player who speaks against the authority and in favor of the players, one way or the other, they tend to victimize them. Leon Balogun, number one example you've cited. Now let's go to Desire Okparanozie and a couple of players like that. So we should have an environment where players should be able to speak.
And after all, wasn't speaking for himself alone, but for the entire
team. Players
team.
should be able to speak what is really happening to the team. And you should not look at the messenger, look at the message, take the message and do the right thing with the message.
Can the player fight them for themselves?
We had the same issue with Finidi George. Now, Finidi's problem was not being able to manage the situation. He came out and he spoke. What he said, was it wrong? No. But
we took it the other way.
look at where it landed in. So for that of Leon Balogun, it is obvious. And even in some of these international games, I remember one of the games in, was it Uyo? And a journalist, I was there, a journalist asked Alex Iwobi, what do you think about this speech? And he said, I don't want to go there. For him to say, I don't want to go there, that means there's something wrong and he doesn't want to say it.
So that he will not be blacklisted. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's hold it there. Looking at those 2 teams you just saw there, and one can, even the great legendary of Degbami admit that this set, when they were even comparing 1996 to 1994, it was like, no, let's not even, yeah, they won the Olympics, but you see this 1994 set, even they, 1980, they won the Nations Cup, but you see this 1994 set, outstanding, just give them 8, and let's not even start any debate, because if we start that, we will close this show. But right now, because of our time, we just take a few moments on this particular story. Nigeria is doing so well in fencing. Not everybody will play football, and that's why I want to celebrate this particular young Nigerian. His name is Inkobru. Inkobru is the grandson of Ledra Kiuli. 2025 African Junior Fencing in Kosibro wins first medal for Nigeria, and he's doing so well. The young man really making fencing his own sport, and he's dominating, and we appreciate what he's doing. Looking at when he's playing fencing, and you'll be like, wow, so a Nigerian can do this. For the fact that he grew up in the US, so he took the advantage.
Yes, some of these sports, you get to see Nigerians who are doing well in it. They actually started from abroad. You know, there are some sports that are peculiar to those in abroad. And that is why you see that Ikobro has actually gotten himself on the podium finish. And you know, fencing is familiar with them over there, not really our kind of sports in this axis. And when you talk about
if you see people like this here, you are seeing masquerade.
You are seeing masquerade. Then you see 2 people using sword to touch the side. You ask yourself,
which kind of sport?
This one not sport. You get the point. So and that is why I like the fact that Nigerians all over, they get themselves into what they can do. Now, it is left for the National Sports Commission, the Fencing Federation of Nigeria, to know how to translate some of these things that they have abroad and build some of these facilities here? And what kind of encouragement will you give to these athletes who are based abroad, training abroad, when they are going for international competition? What kind of support do you give them? Let me take you back to the last Olympics where we were being borrowed bike for cycling.
Let's not go there.
That does not speak well. Now, this person was not even training in Nigeria. This person made personal effort to qualify to the Olympics, and bike, an apparatus for him to do his sport.
Bicycle.
Was not made available. You see, some of these things does not speak well. That is why we lose most of our medal prospects to the US. Some of the medal prospects we have in the US are Nigerians, not just in the US, some European countries. And that's because they feel that, okay, if they come back to represent Nigeria, what support will they get? Now, let me take you back again. We have Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua started from here. He wanted to represent Nigeria. We said no, that he is not fit. The man left for UK and became an international champion. That was when we remember that he is a Nigerian-born British fighter. You get the point. Now, when these guys are available, when they make effort to want to represent Nigeria, what response do we give to them? What facilities do we make available for them to thrive? At the end of the day, it speaks a volume, and it is for posterity. Well,
celebrating Imbro there. Well, for what he has done, you can see him. He's doing so well. The Nigerian man with his swag, and also Steez there. Congrats to him, making fencing sport so interesting. I love the fact that even the floor is showing that Nigeria is actually there. Anyway, quickly, we just have to talk about our... I know a lot of people are waiting for Champions League, but let's promote our own. We've been talking about Nigerian sport. Are you not enjoying it? Okay, let's go to UEFA Champions League now. At least let's touch on it. Yesterday was a big one for Arsenal, the team who are really trailing when it comes to Premier League. But right now, they seem to be the king in Champions. Let's look at that story. UEFA Champions League round of 16. Arsenal, first team to score 7 goals away in that particular knockout stage match. They did well. They were able to win away, and they won 7-1 against PSV Eindhoven, who went to sleep, and they gave the chance to Trossard, to Ethan Nwaneri, who really did well, and you have Odegaard scoring a brace there. Let's quickly talk on the result, and then we look at the fixtures for today. Looking at the result of games played yesterday, Club Brugge, surprisingly, Onyedika and his team lost at home against Aston Villa, who came from behind and stole the show. Borussia Dortmund, Adeyemi scoring for them. They play 1-0 against Lille, who came so and nearly conquered, and now second leg will be a tough one. PSV 1, Arsenal 7. Real Madrid, well, at the Battle of Madrid, both teams playing in that city, it ended 2-1. What a game. Well, they have Diaz to thank, and now second leg, expect a cracker.
Yes, interesting results for yesterday's last of 16 games played, and of course, I want to say I'm impressed with Aston Villa. You know, bit by bit, they are taking the Champions League by surprise, and in the round of 16, they've successfully won away from home 1-3 in that encounter. That means that going back to the Villa Park is going to be easy for them. But if they don't do their homework very well, this is the Champions League. Only the best team wins. And of course, for us now, wonderful results, 7-1 away from home. This is a PSV team that took out the old ladies Juventus in a very keenly contested encounter, and that goes to show the commitment of us now in the Champions League. Of course, the EPL is not looking very, very rosy for them, because Liverpool is just dragging them up the table, and of course they just have to look at a second trophy, which is the Champions League, and they're doing very well. Atletico Madrid and Real Madrid, a tough game, respectable result, and for me that result was expected.
Okay, talking about this particular match, the Real Madrid, Atletico, and PSV Arsenal. Well, it's a match that you just want to give kudos to all the teams that won. Although tough one there for Arsenal, banging in the goals easily. Let's look at Real Madrid also. Real Madrid fought their way. They were able to play 2-1 against Atletico Madrid. What a match there for them being able to win it. Quickly, let's look at the fixtures, where you just pick only the scoreline, no need of analysis. Let's look at the fixtures quickly, just the result. What are you expecting? Feyenoord, Benfica.
Feyenoord, Benfica, I'm expecting
just the result.
A draw.
0-0, 1-1, 2-2.
1-1.
Inter Milan, Barcelona. What a match.
A way to win, maybe 3-1.
Barcelona to win 3-1.
Yes.
Wait to still happen in San Siro. Bayern Munich, PSG.
It's going to be a tough one, tight result. I can't really say who is going to win in this encounter because Bayern Munich cannot.
I think apologies for that particular mix-up there. Well, for this match supposed to be PSG Liverpool. Anyway, let's just leave it, move away from there. As it is talking about UEFA Champions League right now, for the fact that we just have to go. Manchester United, according to their coach, he said they want to win the league. That's their target. I hope you're not my United fan.
2024, 2025 or 2025, 2026?
25, 26. Let me speak for them. 25, 26 at least.
Only
allow them to enjoy it. The moment it says their aim is to win the Champions
Because
League.
At the moment, whether they win, lose or draw, they remain on 15th position.
Anyway, Friday Joshua actually said that if we see him on the road, pick him up for that statement against Man United for your team, they can win the league. Seriously, they can win the league. Let's just believe that Amorim knows what he's doing, and he's not naive trying to reply with Rooney for the fact that he says naive for saying the aim is to win the league when Liverpool is almost running away with the whole thing. Even Arsenal shouldn't say that. Well, he knows what he's saying, and he meant what he's saying, that they are aiming at winning the league. That is if the man maintains that he's not booted out. Anyway, we just have to go now. Friday Joshua, good to have you on the show. You made it very sumptuous as a male. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I'm Adeni Ajichafe from the entire crew that's made it happen on the show 360 Sport on Trust TV. Well, we keep telling you, sport is fitness and business. Thanks for watching.